Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies and including some director series. Earlier this year I did a sort of mini series on director Sam Peckinpah. So I'm going to start another one, another three movie mini series on the films of David Cronenberg, three films of his from the 1980s. So I'm going to end with The Fly. Next up will be The Dead Zone. I'm going to start out with Videodrome. This is a film from 1983. It stars James Woods and Debbie Harry from Blondie, although she's not blonde in this movie. She is a brunette here. And this is a story, as we can see, it encompasses television. It sort of looks a little bit like the scene from Poltergeist, but it about James Wood is kind of like a CEO of a kind of renegade cable company. This is the early days of cable. You could put up channels that were basically unregulated, kind of outlaw channels that would test the boundaries of what would be allowable. As far as sex, softcore sex was definitely part of this channel that James Wood is the CEO of. But also violence, and he's always looking for new material. What would work? What would his audience accept? How far could they go? His chief hacker at this cable company discovers a kind of private show called Videodrome. He has sort of hacked into it, and this is a show of tremendous ultraviolence, of whippings and torture. And Wood seems unconcerned so much about that, of what he's watching, but he wonders, will his audience accept it? He's unconcerned about the moral consequences of what effect these kind of images would have on his audience. And he doesn't even concern himself whether these are real life events or these are actors. He assumes they're actors, but he doesn't want to do any kind of investigation to see whether this is all staged or it's actually real. He appears on a television show, interview show, where he is confronted with whether there are negative consequences to viewers when they view violence. He says they're not, and one of the other guests is played by Deborah Harry, and she is a talk show. She gives advice to people who are who are in dire need of advice. He is immediately intrigued by her, and discovers as they develop a relationship that she is heavily into the S&M scene, and she is indeed intrigued by the whole idea of Videodrome. When James Wood's character Max Wren tells her what his hacker has uncovered. Where is it coming from? They're trying to figure out where it's coming from. So this is part of part of the themes of this movie is that you don't really need sex and violence to intrude upon a person's life or a person's outlook on life. That the message can be hidden within anything. It could be hidden in a commercial, as we've seen. You know, there's hidden messages that are illegal, but that could be put into commercials to get you to more likely buy the product. Now, this is the cassette era, and as the film goes along, we get a sense that what Cronenberg is talking about is the melding of technology with human beings. We are becoming a hybrid. Here, it's the television screen. Certainly today, it's even, you can multiply that exponentially, because today we are a hybrid, a human being with a cell phone in one hand. Cronenberg kind of broadens that to guns. You know, in America at least, we have a cell phone in one hand and we have a gun in the other. And it very much The movie very much plays on paranoia. There's hidden forces out there that are controlling us. In Cronenberg's movies in general, and especially this one, is a very insular world. We're seeing all these events that take place, these horrifying events that take place, from the standpoint of Max Wren, the James Woods character. And his films, Cronenberg's films, a lot of times to me seem rather claustrophobic. Where's the world around them? We're stuck in this kind of this world in Videodrome, a world of hallucinations. Videodrome can cause hallucinations, and Cronenberg films these hallucinations in a way that we can't really tell, just as James Woods can't tell. Is this real or is it not? There's no like dream-like aspect to these hallucinations. Now, Cronenberg is a director that I've always admired, respected, but I've never really, on an emotional level, I've never really connected much with his films, as I never connected a whole lot with Sam Peckinpah's films. So this is another series where I'm trying to find what's interesting in Cronenberg, see if I can engage with him. I find that an interesting experiment. It doesn't always work out, because Cronenberg is making horror films. He comes out of a kind of low-budget exploitation scene in Toronto in Canada. But not only are they horror films with some of the most horrific scenes in 1983 you would have ever seen, and they're still pretty horrific today, but they're also intellectual. These are intellectual horror films. There's themes about it that are running about through his films, and yeah, make them commercially difficult. He certainly has had hits, and I believe The Brood, I think, was a hit. Now, Videodrome, I don't remember getting a chance to see this in the movies, even though Videodrome was ultimately financed and distributed by Universal Pictures. But it did not do well. But Cronenberg says in his commentary that he always suspected that though his films might not do so well commercially, even though he wanted them to do well commercially, they would have a life to them. There's a lot there. There's a richness to his work. And certainly, as far as the horror film aspect of his films, the body horror that he is so famous for, kind of ripping the body apart, never so much as in this film. As cassettes, guns, we just meld, our whole bodies meld with these artifacts that can contribute to our melding with violent transmissions. I've always found his movies kind of confusing in such a way. I certainly admire the makeup. He employs Rick Baker here for all the body horror elements, and they are absolutely spectacular. Even though I must admit I have to hide my eyes at times in his movies. But they do confuse me, because I'm not really sure what Cronenberg himself is thinking about this. I imagine he's saying that there's no easy answers to this. That this is a challenge that human beings will be facing more and more as technology becomes so much part of our lives. And 40 years later, it seems like it's almost overwhelming our lives, as the message so much of social media is of paranoia and conspiracy. And I read a group of essays on Cronenberg, and I got to admit they were very well written, very academic. I didn't really understand them too well. But his commentary, he has a commentary alternating with his cinematographer. And he tries to explain it. Again, I'm not an intellectual, so there isn't, I can't quite grasp some of the ideas that that he puts out there. But given all that, I would say that Videodrome in particular can be enjoyed just on as a creepy suspense thriller because it does get very suspenseful in the end. It has a terrific performance by James Woods. As I mentioned, there is a commentary by Cronenberg. There's also a commentary with James Woods. I think it's also with Deborah Harry, but I did not listen to that one. I did listen to the Cronenberg commentary. Highly recommend it. There is a really nice booklet that comes with this Criterion release, and this does come with a case. And this is from 2010, so this has been out there quite a while, and it does have the kind of cassette type packaging to it. Now in the booklet we get essays by Carrie Rickey, Tim Lucas, and Gary Indiana. And that's pretty top notch there. And Tim Lucas has actually visited the set. His essay is about his visit to the set, where he was there for a few days, and he saw some of the special effects and how they were done. Carrie Rickey's is from a Village Voice column from 1983, updated for 2010. And Gary Indiana just is a terrific essay as well. So a really good Criterion release. I don't know, is this 4K? I couldn't find, for some reason I thought there was a 4K of Videodrome out there, but I wasn't able to find it. But let me tell you, the Blu-ray on this television over here, through my 4K Blu-ray player, this looked absolutely, it might pass if I didn't know myself. It might pass, and again, I have untutored eyes, it might pass as a 4K. So next up will be The Dead Zone. I'm finishing Stephen King's novel that this was based on. I think this is the first film that Cronenberg did an adaptation of a novel, which he would do many times in his subsequent career. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.